"This cake is embarrassing," my sister said, her voice dripping with superiority. "Don't ever bring something this pathetic to a party again." Then, with a flick of her wrist, she scooped up the red velvet cake I had baked from scratch and dumped it into the trash. The entire room went still. Laughter bubbled from a few of her friends, but most people just looked down, pretending they hadn't seen it. I stood there, my hands still sticky from frosting, heartbeat ringing in my ears. Then Mom did something I didn't expect. She walked over, slowly, heels clicking against the hardwood floor, picked up the empty cake box, held it like a fragile memory, then turned toward my sister. "Lena," she said softly, "that was your grandmother's recipe." My sister didn't flinch. Well, maybe Grandma had no taste either. It wasn't just the cake. It was the years of birthdays forgotten, calls ignored, jokes at my expense. It was being the afterthought daughter who got polite smiles instead of praise. But today, she crossed a line.
Hi.
My name is Ivy Caro, I'm 34, and I came home for Christmas thinking maybe this year would be different. I brought a cake, a handmade scarf for Mom, and hope. Hope was a mistake. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just walked over, poured myself a glass of cider, and looked Lena dead in the eye. "You know," I said quietly, "this moment is going to cost you more than you can imagine." She raised an eyebrow like I was bluffing. But I wasn't. Because what she didn't know, what no one knew, was that I hadn't come back for the holidays. I had come back for closure. And now I had my reason.
I didn't eat that night.
While the others sat down to their curated Christmas dinner, linen napkins, expensive silverware, an overcooked roast, I stood in the kitchen sipping water, watching snow fall against the frosted window panes. I heard Lena laugh louder than necessary. I heard my dad say, "Let's not make tonight about drama." I heard my name not once, not even from Mom. But it was fine. I wasn't here to be seen. I was here to see. 10 years ago, Lena stole my college fund to start her boutique. My parents signed off on it saying, "You're the smart one, Ivy. You'll figure it out." I worked 2 jobs, through school. Got no help. No applause. Just distance. And now, that boutique? It's failing. Quietly. Bad reviews. Missed payments. A lawsuit no one in this room knows about. Except me. Because 2 months ago, the woman suing Lena came to me, accidentally. Mistook me for my sister. We have the same eyes, different souls. When I corrected her, she looked relieved. Told me the truth. Showed me everything. Lena had copied her designs, breached their contract, then ghosted her. I said nothing then. But tonight, when my sister dumped my cake in the trash, something inside me clicked. This wasn't just cruelty. It was a pattern. She'd always gotten away with it. But not anymore. Lena thought she humiliated me tonight. But what she really did was hand me the final piece of the puzzle. Because I didn't just come home with a cake. I came home with evidence. Dates. Documents. Screenshots. And a plan that I'd buried deep until I was sure I was ready. And I'm ready now. The question is, are they ready for what's about to happen? The next morning, I woke up early. Not by choice. The house was loud. Pots clanging, hairdryers humming, Lena yelling at someone about forgetting the cranberry sauce. I stayed quiet in my old room. Nothing had changed. Same faded wallpaper. Same squeaky floorboard by the closet. Except now, the bookshelf was empty. My trophies gone. My diplomas nowhere. Lena's photos lined the hallway instead. Fashion expos, interviews, her with celebrities I'd never met. It was her house now. Or so she thought. At breakfast, she pretended nothing happened. Greeted me with a fake smile, then whispered under her breath, "Hope you're not planning to embarrass us again." I smiled. Of course not. She didn't notice the envelope I slipped under Mom's placemat. Or the backup I tucked into Dad's coat pocket. Or the email I scheduled for 10:15 a.m. sharp to one of Lena's key investors. That was the thing about being overlooked. People forget you're still watching. By 10:20, the atmosphere shifted. Mom's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, then turned pale. Dad walked into the hall, answering a call, voice rising with each second. Lena's fiancé came downstairs looking rattled, holding up his tablet like it had betrayed him. "What is this?" he barked. Lena froze. Her hands shook. He turned the screen toward her. "These contracts. These emails. You said this lawsuit was fake." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I took a long sip of coffee.
Black.
"No sugar." "That's strange," I said softly, not looking up, "because I'm pretty sure that lawsuit is very, very real." Outside, the snow kept falling, silent, soft, unstoppable. And in that moment, so was everything Lena had built. Brick by brick. It was starting to collapse. Lena lunged across the table, grabbing the tablet from her fiancé's hands. Her voice cracked as she snapped, "This is fake. Someone's trying to sabotage me." But the damage was done. Mom's eyes were locked on the contract, the one bearing Lena's signature, date-stamped, along with plagiarized sketches traced from another designer. Dad returned, his voice hoarse. "The investor pulled out," he said. "He's pressing criminal charges if this isn't resolved by New Year's." Lena turned to me then for the first time, really looked at me. "What did you do?" I folded my napkin slowly, deliberately, and placed it beside my plate. "I didn't do anything that you didn't do first." "You planned this?" she whispered. I shrugged. "I kept records." "That's not planning. That's surviving." Mom stood up. "Why didn't you come to us?" she asked, her voice brittle. I looked her straight in the eyes.
When?
"Before or after you gave her my college savings? Before or after you erased me from this house?" No one answered. Dad sank into a chair. "What are we supposed to do now?" "Maybe," I said quietly, "you stop pretending the golden child can do no wrong." Lena stormed out of the room, her heels hitting the floor like gunshots. A few seconds later, the front door slammed. No one chased her. I sat there, surrounded by the ruins of their perfect morning, letting the silence wrap around me. No gloating. No revenge speech.
Just stillness.
And truth. Because here's the thing no one ever tells you. When people finally see who someone really is, you don't have to destroy them.
They do it themselves.
And all you have to do is let the truth breathe. And I had just opened all the windows. By noon, the group text from Lena's boutique team started unraveling. "Is this real? We didn't know about this lawsuit. She promised us everything was fine." I watched Mom read each message on her phone, her fingers trembling.
She didn't speak.
She just kept scrolling, absorbing every missed red flag, she once defended. Dad sat rigid, staring into his untouched tea. He looked 10 years older than yesterday. I slipped on my coat. "Where are you going?" Mom asked, voice barely above a whisper.
"Downtown," I said.
"I have an appointment." That was technically true. I walked 2 blocks to a coffee shop near the park, a quiet place Lena had never bothered with. At 12:30 sharp, the woman Lena wronged walked in. Amanda Cho. Petite, calm, deadly smart. She nodded when she saw me, pulled out her laptop and said, "It worked, didn't it?" "It started." I corrected. "There's more to come." She smiled faintly. "You could have stayed out of this." I did. For a long time. Too long. Amanda passed me a printed folder. "You're doing the right thing. But you sure you want to destroy your sister?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I looked out the window, at the bare trees, the gray sky, the ice forming along the sidewalk. "I'm not destroying her," I finally said. "I'm just removing the shield that let her hurt people." When I returned home, Lena's car was gone. Mom was on the porch, arms wrapped tightly around herself despite the thick coat. She didn't look angry. She looked haunted. "She moved into a hotel," she murmured. "Said she needs space. Said you blindsided her." I nodded slowly. "She has no idea," I said, "that the blindsiding hasn't even started yet." That night, the house felt emptier without her, but also clearer, like fog had lifted. Dad barely spoke during dinner. Mom picked at her plate, occasionally glancing at me like she was seeing something unfamiliar, or maybe just finally looking. When the doorbell rang, I already knew who it was. Lena's fiancé. Still in his coat, still holding his tablet, But this time, his expression was different. Less anger. More resignation. He asked to speak to me privately. We stood in the hallway, just outside the dining room. I ended the engagement, he said. I should have listened to my gut sooner. I didn't say anything. He kept going. She blamed you, of course. Said you were jealous. Said you were always desperate for attention. I smiled, tight and small. And, did you believe her? He shook his head.
No.
Not after reading everything. And not after seeing how calmly you handled today. He handed me something, a small leather-bound notebook. She left this at my place. I think you should have it. I opened it after he left. Inside were sketches. Dozens. None of them hers. All copied. Some with dates, some with torn-out pages, and at the very back, a list of names. People she'd wronged. Designers. Clients. Friends. It wasn't guilt. It was record-keeping like trophies. And I knew then, this wasn't a one-time mistake. This was who Lena had always been. Upstairs, I scanned every page, organized the files, and sent one final drive folder to Amanda. Then I clicked send on the press contact list. Let the fashion world see what was hiding beneath the shimmer. Not out of spite. Not for applause. But because justice, real justice, often arrives. Dressed in silence and sent in an email. By sunrise, it was done. Lena's name was trending, not for a holiday collection or a celebrity collaboration, but for plagiarism, fraud, and a pending class action lawsuit. Fashion blogs picked it up first. Then industry insiders. Screenshots of copied designs, breached contracts, fake testimonials. A decade of buried deceit unraveling in real time. My phone buzzed nonstop. I turned off notifications. I wasn't in it for the noise. Downstairs, Mom stood by the living room window, her eyes hollow. The television behind her replayed a news segment. Boutique owner under fire for years of design theft. When she turned, her face was unreadable. Was it you? I didn't deny it. It was the truth. Her voice cracked. You really hate your sister that much? I felt something in me break. Not loud, but final.
No, Mom.
I just finally stopped loving her more than I loved myself. She looked away, but not before I saw the flash of recognition. Like a reel of memories she could no longer explain. The times she ignored me, excused Lena, brushed my pain off with a smile, and, you know how she is. Dad came in holding his phone. She called, he muttered. Said she's flying to LA to escape the drama. Escape. Even now, she thought she could outrun accountability. But I knew the truth. Not everything follows you. Some things wait for you. I went upstairs and packed. I hadn't planned on staying through New Year's anyway. Before leaving, I taped one last thing to the fridge. A copy of Lena's apology email to Amanda. The one she thought was private. Mom would read it. Eventually. And she'd realize. This wasn't just a fall from grace. It was the first time anyone told Lena. No one's cleaning up after you anymore. The train pulled away just as the sun cracked open the sky. I sat by the window, coat wrapped tight, hands warm around a paper cup of cinnamon coffee. No fanfare. No dramatic goodbyes. Just the kind of silence that comes when a chapter closes, not with fire, but with clarity. Lena hadn't texted. She wouldn't. I knew she'd spin the story, call it sabotage, betrayal. But this time, she had no one left to echo her lies back to her. The truth was louder now, printed, posted, public. And I didn't need her apology. I already had something better. Peace. My name is Ivy Caro, and for years I let my sister dim me to keep her comfortable. I let my parents pretend I was strong enough to go without, just so she could always have more. But the thing about light? It finds a way through. Amanda messaged me while the train curved through the mountains. Lawsuit proceeding. Thank you. You didn't just help me. You helped everyone she ever silenced. I smiled. The wind outside smeared frost against the glass. My reflection looked calm. Not victorious. Not bitter. Just whole. At the next stop, an older woman sat beside me. She complimented my scarf, the one I had knitted for Mom but never gave. I thanked her and didn't explain. Some things don't need telling. And as the train cut through miles of snow-covered quiet, I thought about how revenge isn't always about screaming or slamming doors. Sometimes it's just about reclaiming your voice in a house that taught you to whisper. So I sipped my coffee, leaned back, and let the past stay behind me. No more proving. No more permission. No more pretending.